Things change over time, sometimes for the best, sometimes not so much. That's true of the train at Silver Dollar City, and the script and the lines that we use as well. There are a number that have changed and disappeared and morphed a little bit over the years. One of the things that was really neat about working at the train at Silver Dollar City was that its script was constantly changing and adjusting and updating. We were constantly trying out new lines and new things, while at the same time still using a lot of the same old material that had been used for years. But some of those lines would gradually disappear and we'd replace them or adjust them. Sometimes it was because of changes in cultural values. Sometimes it was because somebody got offended, or sometimes it was just because it wasn't funny anymore. Here are some of the lines that changed. One of the ones that we used to do, even just in the introductory spiel, that I don't see done very often anymore. And it's possible some of these lines are still done and I just don't see them. But when we would go over the safety rules, we had a number of humorous lines that we would do.
Rule number 1, if you got little ones that are too short to reach the ground, make sure you put them on the inside middle of the bench. We don't want to see them bounce.
Okay, we didn't do that one anymore. At the end of the safety spiel, we would remind people not to pull the orange cord.
When you get on that train, you're going to see a bright orange pull cable over your head. That is for medical emergencies only. If you pull that cable, the engineer's going to stop the train, EMTs will be dispatched, and we're going to sit in the woods for a long time. So, if you pull that cable and you don't have a medical emergency, we're going to arrange one for you.
And then we used to wave our shotgun in the air and say, "We will arrange one for you." Don't do that one anymore. Not PC. They're worried about safety. People get offended. Half the time they don't even have a real gun anymore. Kind of hard to wave a gun around when you don't have one. So that has changed. Another line that we used at the same time after we had covered all of those little lines was one that got a good laugh, but every now and then you get somebody a little upset. We kind of gauged where most of our crowd was from. We would actually talk to them before they get on the train, or if we knew that, say, Arkansas or Oklahoma or Texas were on spring break or something like that, we would then finish up at the end and we would say something like, "So, do I have anybody here from the great state of Oklahoma?" All right, let me go over those rules one more time for you. We said basically the same line every time, and we just changed the state based on where people were from. Well, apparently that got nixed because some people got upset. Oh well. One other change that's happened over the years is the robbers, when you stop at the show, are coming up with a reason to try to get the conductor to go up the track and look for something so they can rob the train. For many, many years, it was,
"We just stopped the train to warn you about what? Indians! Indians! Up around the bend up there. 9 of them. Really? Got these big old wooden war clubs. They're swinging at this or swatting at that. They just don't seem to hit nothing. Why not? They're Cleveland Indians."
kind of, again, hearkening back to the 1880s and their perceptions. Well, that one's definitely become non-PC. And we did it a few times by request and, sometimes just because we wanted to when I was there. But by the time I was leaving, we didn't do Indians at all anymore. It was all Yankees. And understandably so. I understand why that one has changed. I mean, even the Cleveland Indians are now no longer the Cleveland Indians. That's changing as well. It's something that needed to change a long time ago. I totally understand why that one has changed. And yeah. So that same series of lines, you would have the robbers tell the conductor that they had snuck up on the Yankees or the Indians or whoever, and that they heard them talking last night in the bushes.
Me and Ralph, we sneaked up on them and we heard them talking. Well, what'd they say? Tell them, Ralph. Woo, 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 woo. Boom, 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 boom. Hey, hey, hi. Hey, that's what they said, word for word. All right, I don't speak Indian. What's that supposed to mean? Well, here's the biggest cipher. It means they're going to swoop down on the train. Woo, 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 woo. Burn it to the rails, boom, 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 and steal all your women. Hey, hey, hey.
The line that's now been chopped out, the conductor would look at the robbers, hear their explanation and say,
Oh, yeah, they want the girls.
What do 9 old Indians want with a trainload of women?
Well, I figure they're... Y'all got the dumb one, didn't you?
yeah, that one's not quite PC anymore either. It's a funny joke. It's told in such a way that the kids aren't going to catch what it means, but somebody got upset because, yeah. And that you're going to find this is a common theme, as many of these lines have been cut because they're either not PC or because people got upset. That's actually very true of the end of the show. The end has changed a good little bit. It used to be that the robbers would try to convince the conductor not to shoot them. And the way to do that was by telling the conductor,
You wouldn't shoot us right down right in front of our mom, would you? Have a heart.
I don't reckon I can shoot anybody in front of their mom, but what's that got to do with this?
Our mom's riding your train.
Your mom's on my train.
Oh, yeah?
well, this ending has changed a little bit. There were a couple lines that have been changed where the robbers have convinced the conductor to let them go, hopefully, because their ma's on the train, but now the conductor wants to meet Ma. So the robbers go down, they find a ma, and we would very deliberately pick somebody as obvious as possible that they were not our ma. So you've got me in my mid-40s, and if I had another robber the same age, we tried to pick a lady that's in her 20s or 30s. We like to pick somebody who was of a radically different culture. So you got 2 white boys robbing? Well, hey, let's try to pick out a black or Hispanic lady, because it's very obvious she's not Ma, and that made it even funnier. Well, the line after we got down there was,
You recognize mom without a beard?
I recognize that smirk anywhere.
Mom, it's so good to see you. You look 20 years younger without the beard. Come on. At least. Oh, you did. So did Winky. Now, Mom, when'd you get out of jail, though?
Oh, just a couple days ago.
Couple days ago. I think this lady's serious. Hey, you're just not in here. Where you been since you got out?
I had to pick this guy.
No. Family show, lady. Come on. Mom, you gotta be more careful. You know what happened last time you busted out of jail and you didn't come straight home?
What happened?
Ralph happened.
and again, it's one of those things that because it's obvious that it's not our ma, it makes it funny. But there were people that got sensitive and, oh, what are you saying about that lady and what's she doing? Okay. At this point, the conductor has then called the robbers.
Get up here! Ralph! You two leave that nice lady alone.
Hey, you watch your tongue, mister. That ain't a nice lady. That's our mom.
Yeah. Ma'am, I don't mean to embarrass you any more than these 2 scalawags just did. But I do have to ask, do you claim them as your boys? Yes or no? No hesitation.
You little booger. Wait a minute. I can tell you what, she didn't claim us.
I can too. That's not your mom.
That's right.
What? No! She's embarrassed.
Well, the stunt you just pulled, what she got to be embarrassed about?
Well, you see that shady look in her eyes?
I see it.
That big smile on her grin?
She's a happy lady.
She ought to be. The old goat sitting next to her. That ain't...
Yes,
Oh, that's it. I'm going to shoot Peter Bowling.
Run, Ralph.
And again, the kids don't get it. The adults understand this isn't Ma. It's not possibly Ma, which is what makes it funny, but it does imply just a little bit. And so we did have people that would get very sensitive about that and got upset. And it was very rare, but especially in the last few years, as people have become much more sensitive about their sense of humor, it didn't go over real well. Or not as well as it used to. There are still occasionally times, I believe, that the robbers will still throw that out there, but it's, not really approved anymore. But at the same time, we would also work on creating lines. There are some lines out there now that, in particular, our 2 Kevins I worked with, Kevin Day and Kevin Huffman, actually originated and became part of the script. One of the things is when Alfie is asking Ralphie if he remembers how to rob the train. And as part of that, he asks Ralphie, hey, you remember that talk we had last night up in the cabin? Kevin Huffman starts coming up with lines like, oh yeah, don't pet the striped kitties, meaning skunks. Or,
okay, remember what we talked about around the fire last night? Oh, you need to turn a chicken upside down and shake it real hard to get scrambled with eggs.
And these lines are still used on the train, even though it has now been like 6-7 years, and they will continue on because they're funny. And we would constantly come up with little quips and little things that change it just to have fun. And you would occasionally get lines that would really stick. In fact, most people remember that the conductor forgets what day of the week it is, that he can't remember, and he blows his lines, and they all mess it up because of it. Okay, and I still get people all the time, oh yeah, I rode the train and they couldn't remember what day it was. Okay, here's a secret for you. It's scripted. It's planned. But where it started was an actual slip. And it just was so funny and went over so well that they were like, hey, you know what? That works so good. Let's try it again on purpose this time. And then they just kept doing it. And it has become part of the robbery. It is something that was just hilariously funny, and it stuck. And so they keep going. And so you will find a number of lines like that have stayed on there. And there are times when you will have lines that will migrate along with you. As an example, one that I used and that I now see people use on the train fairly often was at the very end of the train ride. I actually stole the line from the Disney's Jungle Cruise, and I used it at Rhino Rally when I was a driver. That when you would end the ride, you would stop at the exit and you would say, hey folks, if you've had a great time, my name is George. And if you haven't had a great time, then my name is... and you'd look at whoever's on the dock and you'd say their name. Well, when I got to Silver Dollar City on the train, I started doing the same thing because people love it. Well, it stopped. And now I see it occasionally used on the train at Silver Dollar City. It's very likely that there were other people who used it there before me, but when I started, I was pretty much the only one using the line. So you will have lines that will stick and somebody else will bring in something new and they'll try something out and it works and off they go with it. And that's how you keep the scripts fresh and new for everybody, constantly evolving and constantly funny. So have you seen some of these lines? Have you seen others that have been added and used? I'd love to hear it. Please share it in the comments below. Let me know what your favorite lines are. What's the funniest part? I'd love to know. Thank you so much for liking the video, subscribing, and sharing it. Thank you as well to my financial supporters, my patrons on Patreon, my YouTube members. They help make so much possible, and I couldn't do this without them. And thank you so much for watching, too. God bless. As time goes on, things change, and that's true of the train as well. Nope. Ouch. Something itching my leg. Okay. As time goes on, and then at the end of all of this, we would kind of wave our gun, and especially with the part of that same line though, is you would have the robbers then tell, oh my goodness, why can't I get this out? Well, the line that has now been chopped out, the conductor would look at the, you can't shoot us. Our ma's on the train. Your ma's on the train. Oh yeah, rides it every. Okay. Okay, let me get this. Okay, so there were a couple spots in this where after the robbers had told the conductor that Ma was on the train, and the conductor, but I got somebody text messaging me in the middle.
Warned me about what? Giants! What giants? I'm bringing that thing 9 of the biggest, tallest, meanest, ugliest looking giants y'all never done saw. They've all got these huge woodwork clubs. They're swinging and swiping and swatting at everything. But don't you worry, they can't hit much of nothing.
Why is that?
They San Francisco Giants. They believe me.
Encourage that. Bone, I don't believe this story.
No?
No.
Oh. Bye.
I haven't heard a story like that in 50 years.
50 years?
That's right.
Well, they're there, I promise you.
You're sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I'm Alfie. I'm really... But they're up there. They're mean, too.
Well, how do you know there's some meat?
Well, Ralphie and I, we sneaked up on them last night. We heard them talking.
And what'd they say? Tell them, Ralph. They said fee, fi, fo, fum. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, pretty much something like that.
Okay, I caught the fee, fi, fo, fum, but what's that? I don't understand the rest of that. What's that mean?
Well, nearest we can cipher. It means you're gonna swoop down on your train. Fee, fi, stomp on it. Fo, fum. Steal all the women. Hey, hey, hey.
The women.
Oh yeah, they want the girls.
Bowen, I'm not buying this giant stuff.
Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to know about contact information, fan pages, merchandise, and more, please be sure to check the description below. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to know when I have new ones, well, make sure you hit that subscribe button right up there. And if you want to see another one of my videos, well, I've got a great one for you right here. And a huge thank you to these wonderful people here who support me on Patreon and with YouTube memberships. They get behind the scenes information, special perks, and more. If you'd like to know more about that, well, make sure you check that button right there. Thank you so much.